What the heck has been going on in the real estate market? This is Jason Valentine with Coldwell Banker High Desert Realty. And if you have been following at all with the real estate market, you have seen a drastic slowdown. And that's why I'm starting these market update reports again. We're putting these out in our newsletters. We're putting them out on social media. We're sending them out in blast emails because, quite frankly, the people who know what's going on right now are going to be able to make a great opportunity to set their families up for the next 10 years to be really successful in real estate. And that's what this is all about. So let's just jump in really quick. I want you to know what's going on. So over the last 2 years, we've seen some pretty extreme swings in the real estate market with huge swings in inventory, pricing, and interest rates. A lot of people might have their heads spinning when it comes to understanding the market. Couple that with headlines predicting a real estate market crash, and most of our consumers are left in an environment of uncertainty, and that causes stress, doubt, and the inability to capitalize on real opportunities that are presenting themselves in today's market. To combat this, Coldwell Banker High Desert Realty is bringing back monthly market reports to Gallup. So our agenda today, I'm only planning on this taking about maybe 20 minutes or so. So our agenda today is to cover many of the topics that customers have been expressing concern about. We're going to talk about interest rates and get an understanding of what's going on with interest rates, housing prices, and the effect of likelihood of a crash. We're going to talk about housing prices, who in the real estate world is really coming out on top in this market, an update on renting and what options renters have and what do rentals offer. Then we're going to get hyper local and look at what's going on immediately in the Gallup, New Mexico area to arm you with the best information. So if you stick around at the end, we're going to talk about some pro tips on who's in the best decision or best position to make a move right now. So that being said, one thing we can all agree on right now is that there is some economic uncertainty in the economy. And how will that affect the housing market? Well, here's Mark Fleming, chief economist from First American Finance Corporation, and he has to say, when the economic uncertainty dust settles, those buyers and sellers who are on the sideline will jump back into the housing game. Demographic trends support elevated purchase demand in the years to come. So it's a question of when, not if, for the housing market to get going again. So let's talk about, will mortgage rates keep rising? One of the biggest uncertainties in our economy right now is interest rates. So let's take a few minutes and identify what is going on with interest rates and why this is happening. So as these headlines will clearly indicate, compared to a few years ago, the interest rate seems pretty high. But in reality, they are not that high. In a moment, I'm going to give you a historic perspective on mortgage rates that might change your perception about what the current interest rates mean. Now, one thing we've seen, however, is a rapid rise in mortgage rates. In January of 2022, we were talking about rates around 3.22%. Today, they're over 7% for mortgages. This graph is a weekly average from January until the end of September. And as you can see, it has largely been an uphill climb for mortgage rates. This is causing buyers and sellers to have to readjust to the market that they have been in for the last 2 years, where rates were low and so was inventory. But one thing I want to make sure everyone understands is that while a 7.5% interest rate today may seem high compared to the last 2 years, the historical average of interest rates going back to 1971 has been 7.76%. This graph gives us an idea of what mortgage rates have looked like over the last 50 years. And when compared today, we can certainly see that it's not that the sky is falling. So why are interest rates rising? Well, let's talk to First American Financial Corporation again. And the aim of the Fed tightening interest rates is to curtail demand in an effort to tame inflation. And when it comes to the housing market, the Fed's actions are working. Home sales, both new and existing, are falling, and builders have cut back on production in response to a rapidly declining affordability. And annual housing price growth has slowed from a peak of nearly 21% in March of this year, 16.7% in July, and we're seeing that growth continually slow down a little bit. So now, with the increase of interest rates, some headlines have been calling for a market crash, and this is what Mark Fleming from First American Financial Corporation has been saying about the impact of higher interest rates. While mortgage rates are expected to continue to drift higher in the coming months, much of the rapid increase in rates is likely behind us. Nationally, while month-over-month house prices may decline, annually house prices declines are not expected given the ongoing supply and demand imbalance and continued strength in the labor market. So let me explain that. I want to point out that what he says in month-over-month prices might decline, but the annual prices are not expected to decline. In other words, appreciation of the home's value is slowing, but we're not seeing a loss of value at this time. So I want to be sure that that we're aware of this, and I want to bring us to where are home prices expected to go. So let's take a look. The root cause of what drives housing prices is almost always supply and demand, and that comes from Dave Ramsey, who is a personal finance advisor. And support and demand, the economic principle, supply and demand, the economic principle, very, very simple. When supply is short and demand is high, prices will continue to rise. And so what we want to look at is the supply to demand ratio change, and it is changing a little more quickly. While inventory is still short, we are seeing levels grow in almost all areas of real estate. Higher interest rates are causing demand for buyers to soften a little bit. Here are the ratios we saw in September in relation to showings versus active listings nationwide. So while we might not see a huge price jump like we have in the last few years, there is still a shortage of homes available for interested buyers. And while that demand is not the frenzy that it's been for the last 24 months, there is still a demand. So Mark Fleming reinforces this here. And while markets considered overvalue may need to adjust to the not so new reality of higher mortgage rates, housing fundamentals still support a moderation of annualized home price appreciation rather than a sharp decline. So as far as the headlines are calling for a collapse, this is what John Paulson says, where John Paulson, by the way, who called for the 2008 market crash, implies that while home price appreciation will soften, it will not be to the extent of what happened in 2008 with an owner losing about 30% of their value in 2008. So I think it's wise to take a look at what are we going to see as we move into 2023. So let's take a quick look at the home price forecast. And as you can see from the latest forecast, home prices are almost uniformly expected to continue to rise throughout 2023, despite the higher interest rates. Now, this is not going to be huge jumps that we saw over the last 24 months, more of a leveling off, cooling off, if you will, on the home prices. Now, something you do want to remain aware of, certain metropolitan areas may see small depreciation. Most of the country is going to see modest appreciation, and this is what the experts are saying. And you can see here that 618 experts are calling for home price appreciation, and a few of them are calling for home price depreciation. Now, keep in mind that what I want you to be aware is you might see in some overheated markets, particularly on the West Coast and such like that, the price is coming down a little bit faster. That does not mean there's going to be a market crash. There's still shortage of like 5 million homes throughout the country. So let's take a look on the forecast of analysis forecasting the levels of price change. And again, guys, you can see that most of it is in the appreciation range. Here we can see the home price expectation survey, 93 experts polled, 68% or 73%, 68 or 73% of them are causing for appreciation throughout. Now, When we look at 2024 through 2026, the number of experts who are calling for depreciation or no gain in value becomes less than 4% over the next few years. Now, I will tell you from my experience, this market is resetting for the next cycle, and taking the time now to prepare your family with a winning strategy will set them up really to maximize their real estate investment over the next few years. So if you're interested in learning about what I'm talking about, let's talk about the hindsight and why I feel this way. Give me a call. So let's talk about the shining star of the real estate market right now is home equity. And the reason that I'm saying now is the best time to set up your family for the next 10 years is because home equity has turned out to be the real success story for current homeowners in this real estate market. The average American homeowner in New Mexico has enjoyed $35,000 of additional equity in recent years. This wealth this is the wealth that has been established in these families. So what that really means, as you can see, is the national average has been about $60,000 across the United States. New Mexico homeowners have enjoyed about a $35,000 increased value in their house, really in just the last year or two. So as we look at 30 years of data, you might ask yourself, is home ownership worth it? And as we look at 30 years of data, the average home value has increased nearly 300% nationwide. And again, from my experience, homeowners who have benefited from this gain may be in a huge position to really take advantage of the next decade or so in real estate. But before I go on my soapbox, let's talk really about renting. The same way home price has gone up for the last 30 years, the cost of rent has also increased. For many renters who may be afraid of the cost of getting into a home, there are various zero down and near zero down programs to take advantage of. And while renting might be a short-term solution, I do hope any renter watching this will come and have a buyer consultation with Coldwell Banker High Desert Realty so you can become a homeowner and take advantage of some of the wealth building that might be occurring in our country. So let's talk about, we've covered a lot, and I told you guys I was going to be down to about 20 minutes, and I'm probably running a little bit long on that, or going to by the end of it. So we've covered a lot of what's going on nationally, but we need to know what is going on right here at home in Gallup, New Mexico. So let's look at the very recent data in the local market. And what you can see here is what happened locally last quarter. And I'm talking last quarter from June 1st to August 31st. Well, first off, only 33 units have sold in the last 90 days. This is a marked slowdown from what's happening the quarter prior. And when we move to the next slide, you're going to see another drop. Secondly, the average days on market was 92, and that's going to come into a factor here on our next slide that we're going to share with you. Third, the average sales price was 193. So let's fast forward to June 30th, let's see what's happened basically since September to the end of October. And what I want you guys to see is, first off, only 15 units have sold in this 55-day section that I put this together. That's about a 15% drop in the total number of units sold. So what we're seeing is interest rates have caused a lot of buyers just to stop and halt in their tracks. The average days in market, however, dropped down to 69, and the average sales price jumped up to 216,000. But the most significant thing has happened is that 75% of the homes in this segment of the market did not sell at list price. They sold for less than list price, and some of them saw short appraisals. The average price drop from list price to sales price to get sold was 8.18%. This is very different development than what we've seen over the last 2 years. What this means is very simple. The days of putting a sign in your yard and having 4 offers coming in, each outbidding the last, are likely gone. The best strategies for home sellers right now is to price conservatively. With affordability being on everybody's mind due to the increased interest rates, pricing the home correctly to attract the largest number of buyers is a surefire way to liquidate the property. As opposed to sitting on the market for months on end without a sale and eventually coming down to a reasonable price after wasted time and energy. This really requires a real estate agent with pretty extensive market knowledge and some real skills. So going into the pro tip, and I actually think I'm going to meet my 20-minute deadline. Who's in the best position to make a purchase right now? Well, move up buyers or move down buyers. These buyers that need to move into a house that better fits their needs, that could be, needing another bedroom, maybe reducing the size of your house, a bedroom or two. But let me explain why these move up and move down current homeowners who need to move into something that better fits their needs are in the best position. These move up and move down buyers have likely enjoyed significant equity value gains in recent years. They can roll this equity into their next house and greatly reduce the amount that they need to finance. Number two, using this equity as a big down payment, they're likely going to eliminate private mortgage insurance, which further reduces their payments. Number three, they secure their next house, move up or move down now while prices are stabilized for the immediate future, and are in a position to enjoy the high equity gains as the market continues to adjust and grow. Finally, even though interest rates are a little higher right now, they are in control of the asset at today's pricing, not a future more expensive price. And that means they can lock in the price now, lock in the interest rates now, and then when interest rates dip back down, they're in a position to refinance and really maximize their payments. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this is a quick little snapshot of what is going on in this crazy real estate market that has had a major shift over the last 30 and 60 days. November of 2022. This is Jason Valentine with Coldwell Banker High Desert Realty. I want to thank you for joining me on this little bit of a market update, guys. Right now, the people who are going to win are the ones who set themselves up to take advantage of the next 10 years of their real estate investment. If you want to learn how to do that, give us a call. My office phone number is 505-863-4363, or you can call me on my cell, 575-496-1068. This is Jason Valentine with Coldwell Banker High Desert Realty. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you again next month. Bye-bye.